Good afternoon, everyone. This is Debbie Royce, Queens West Development Corporation's Acting Corporate Secretary. I'd like to welcome everyone to this afternoon's meeting. Before we formally begin, I would ask everyone to please mute your line unless you're speaking. We'll begin today by taking a roll call of the directors to ensure we have a quorum present on the line. Please be so kind as to say present when you hear your name. Marion Phillips.
Here.
Terrence Cho.
Present.
Jonathan Glickman.
Present.
And Matthew Patterson.
Present.
Thanks so much for joining us today. And Acting Chair Phillips, you are ready to begin.
Thank you, Debbie, and good afternoon to everyone. Before I call the meeting to order, I will note for the record that I will serve as Acting Chair for today's meeting. I now call to order the meeting of the Directors of the Queens West Development Corporation for Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. Before we get started, I will ask that everyone please mute their phone until you are ready to speak. Also, for the record, I will ask everyone wishing to speak, please be sure to state your name before you begin. I'd like to note for the record that due to public health concern, and as authorized by an executive order of the governor, this meeting will be conducted by teleconference. I'll also note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments by 4:30 p.m. yesterday. I'd like to state for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I'd like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the agenda items. If so, I would ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourselves from any discussion or vote regarding such items. Are there any conflicts from any of the directors? Hearing none, our first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the March 20th, 2019 directors' meetings. I believe you received the materials. I hope we all have reviewed the materials. Are there any comments, questions, or additions or deletions to the March 20th, 2019 minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion. Matt Patterson, so moved.
It was been moved by Matt Patterson. I heard Terrence. I'm going to assume you are a second, since you both.
Yeah, Terrence Cho, second.
Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Matt Patterson, aye.
And Marion Phillips, aye.
Jonathan Glickman.
Thank you, Jonathan. I assume you're aye?
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded and voted unanimously. The minutes of the 2019 meeting are approved. Thank you, everyone. Next order of business, I will call on Toby Giassimi to present the final item on today's agenda, a request for authorization for the corporation to adopt its operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 21-22. Toby, when you're ready, please.
Good afternoon, directors. Hope this all finds you well. You're requested to approve the 2021-2022 operating and capital budgets for the Queens West Development Corporation. The operating budget of $89,193 includes services for salary in the amount of $65,293, and also for expenses related to the insurance and also office occupancy costs for the subsidiary. With regard to the capital budget, we're requesting for $1,510,000, which includes the corporation's obligations towards the State Park Rangers Comfort Station and also the 47th Street Park entrance, with a small percentage of that amount being allotted for contingency. In response to some questions that I'd received from directors, I'll note that for the previous fiscal year, We are projected to have a total capital spending of approximately $5,000. That number may increase as we wrap up the fourth quarter 2021 budget, but that amount is reflective of the property management costs for Queens West Development Corporation with our contracts with our environmental monitor, Fleming Lee Shue. Our projected operating spending through fiscal year 2020-2021 totals approximately $80,000. And we also note that the amount for our capital budget has remained consistent over the last two or three fiscal cycles, and that is to be reflective of the corporation's obligations for the cost of parts of the Park Ranger Comfort Station and also the 47th Road entrance. At this time, the work on the Park Ranger Comfort Station has been completed. There are some minor punch list items that need to be finalized. And once we get an update from New York State Parks and also New York City Department of Design and Construction on that, we'll be sure to work on being able to submit the corporation's allotment for those two parcels accordingly. With respect to the current balance in the Queens West General Fund, there is currently $1,461,124.47 available in the general fund. If there are any additional questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, I will entertain a motion for the directors to vote on this item.
Yes, Toby, this is Jonathan Glickman. I was wondering if you know the status of the construction of the 47th Street Park entrance.
I wasn't able to get an update in time for today's meeting with regards to the 47th Street Park entrance, but I'll be sure to follow up with you on that once I get an update.
Okay, thank you. And just one other follow-up. I was wondering if by agreement there was any completion date required for these projects in order for Quiddick to make the reimbursement of the cost?
I'd have to look at the documents again with the legal team to confirm whether or not we've surpassed when the expected completion date for those two items are. They have been delayed due to a series of different factors on the site. And so we'll have to review the contractual obligations to see whether or not there's any other items that we'd need to consider as it relates to both the Park Ranger Comfort Station and also the park entrance.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or items that you'd like for me to follow up with as it relates to the 2021-2022 operating and capital budgets?
All right, thank you, Toby. It was interesting. I asked 3 times, were there any other questions? And I wonder why Toby spoke. I was on mute. So thank you, Toby, for covering me. All right, hearing no other questions, may I have a motion to approve the 21-22 budget, please?
Terrence Cho, motion to approve the budget.
Thank you. Second, please.
Matt Pedersen, second.
Thank you, please. Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. May I have all in favor, please state aye.
Terrence Cho, aye.
Matt Pedersen, aye.
Jonathan Glickman, aye.
Marion Phillips, aye. Motion's been approved. This carries, the budget has been approved. This is the last item on our agenda for today, and I thank you all for your time. If there are no other orders of business, no other conversations, comments, then I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Terrence Cho, motion to adjourn.
Marion seconds that motion, so thank you all for your time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. And, although we may not gather Queens West so often, I'll see you all in Lower Manhattan next week.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Stay healthy, everybody. Bye now.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.